Hey there, rock stars. Welcome back to Kris Loves Crochet. I'm so glad you're here. And as promised, I have several things that I made out of granny squares that I just wanted to share with you. Granny squares and circles, I kind of put those in the same category as they're meditative for me, just to sit down and not have to think about anything. And so I made a few things, a lot of bags is what I've made. As you probably noticed, maybe some of you, that I was gone for a little while, and I had a video last week, so I did come back in, and it was called Designing Women of YouTube. And I mentioned in that video that during the time that I was just kind of overloaded in my brain and my life, I sat down and I did a lot of granny squares. And I didn't know what I was going to do with them. Most of them, I just kept picking yarn that made me happy and just started making squares and circles to squares and squares to circles, and had a lot of fun with them. So, the first thing is not a bag, and you can't really see it, so I'm going to stand up and see if I can get it in here. This is just a little, it's like a swimsuit cover up kind of thing. You can't really see on the back. There's fringe. It goes down longer in the back. You see the side, so it's longer in the back than in the front, and it just has a big square in the middle on the top, and then there's these granny squares that go around. There's 6 of them that I put around. And then these are just, half grannies, not triangles, but half grannies. And then just put fringe on the bottom. So I did get a picture of this online, the inspiration picture. It's pretty much the same thing. I can't remember exactly where I found it, so I'll try to find it and put it here. What I based this top off of. And then the squares I put together in a zigzag connection, like that, with all of that. And I used one of these, a different color, but this rainbow cotton that is very similar, I think, to Caron cotton cakes. I may be wrong, but I think it's very similar to that. I love it. It's about a 3-weight. That's what I made this out of. And then I made, this one I just spilled coffee on. I just soaked it and then spun it dry. Anyway, it came out very nicely. The coffee did. So here's a circle to a square to a circle to a square. And then the gussets are just circle to square granny squares. And then the back is exactly the same as the front. And what I do is I'll typically just find, I've got lots of bags around here, and I'll just find one, I'm in Thailand. There's a lot of Hello Kitty stuff. And it's cute, and I can get a lot of pink and purple in it. So I just put them in like this, and then use a tie up at the handles, and that will hold it up when I do it properly. That holds it up all the way around, and so then you have just this crocheted bag with instant handle. Here's another one similar, very similar, like almost the same, but I used oranges. And so here you can see where I just tied. I didn't even chain it. I just put a couple of strands of yarn around this and tied it. And it's a little, is it a Hello Kitty bag? No. But this one's a little canvas bag with some nice canvas handles, and just did it, I measured it kind of, and then just put it on. So now I have that bag. Then I also did, whose wall did I see this hanging on? Billy the Crafty Floridian. I saw this hanging on her wall, something like this on her wall behind her when she was doing a video. And so I did 2 granny squares, and then I did 2 half granny squares to just wrap around. And then instead of making that straight across, I did some decreases here in the center so that it kind of looks like a heart. Kinda. Put a little bit of fringe here where I connected this chain, which is just a chain. I did 2 of them. Just a chain of all the colors that I used in this. Oh no, I ran out of this, which is ice cream yarn that my daughter sent me. So much fun using that. And just did a 3-strand chain across, and then did it again across. And then because they never come out exactly the same length, I just twist them before I sew on the other side. That way they all kind of stay. Like this one probably is longer, so you see it twisting around a little bit, but that way I can make a thicker strap, and it can just be a crossover body bag. If you're interested in how I figured, I know there's some out there, and I did get some helpful hints out on the internet. But to go, I saw one that went from circle to square, one that kind of a recipe for going square to circle, and then, you know, I just did it back again to a square. If you're interested to learn how I did that, I would be happy to put out a video if anybody's interested in that. And then of course the little ones, the circle to square, circle to square. So let me know on that if you're interested. And I also did this little bag. I have a few of these little almost rubber plastic bags. They're clear, see-through. That's what clear is, see-through. And I made little granny squares and put a daisy in one of them. And then I made some solid ones with a daisy in the middle. And then I made a big daisy and just squared it out, and then added a little bit on the side so it would reach. I'm not sure why that one's solid, but it is what it is. And then down here I have some purple daisies all in one color. And then with this one, instead of tying on here, before I realized I could do that, I was using hot glue and just putting it kind of in the corners here and right there, and then down here and here and across the bottom, so that it kind of stays with the shape. But you don't need to, you can just tie it onto the handles, whatever kind of bag you have. So there's that one. Oh, and there's one inside of it. Picked up a bunch of squares that I had made and decided to go the diamond route. Just put them on diagonally. This one does not have an inside bag yet, but it just has a flap cover that I put on here, so you can see it in the back. They're just all going in the same direction, but it's in a diamond. I just had a bunch of granny squares laying around, and I just started putting them together and see what I could make. And it's not hard to put them all in like square or rectangle type shapes. This front though did require me to go back and make a half square, because I wanted that to be all the way across. And then there's the flip. Then I got a bunch of these bags that are for laundering, like a bra, and it keeps its structure, you know. You can put a bra in there and throw it in the washing machine to protect it. So there's this one. And I had some more granny squares. Circle to squares I thought was appropriate, since it's a circle. I just did a circle on the bottom, measured that out, and then did these granny squares and attached them around the circle. And then you can just put this in. I have not attached it, as you could have well seen earlier. So I just still have the yarn in there that I was using to make this. So this is kind of a project bag. And then I did, for the top, I did the circle to square to circle to fit on this top. So this one's not done yet. Obviously, I need to sew them on. They won't stay very well at all because of the nature of the sides of these bags. They crush down to save room. So I just need to sew it around the top. And here's one that is done, but it wasn't done with squares. I did a circle with some freeform, you know, top stitching. And to keep it from gathering up too much, I did a I wanted it to lay flat like a slip stitch, but I did a slip stitch, chain one, slip stitch, chain one in every stitch around this continuous round that I did. And then I ran out. So I stopped there. And then this side, this is one of Crystal at Bag O' Days, one of her chevron ripple, what is she calling it? A collection. The chevron ripple collection. And I just did that around, and then of course it was too big. So I was trying to do a bottom for it and it just would not work. I had to pull it all the way in if I was gonna use it on this, but I like it. And then the last one is just all circles. And I did this just for this top. So this is, I think, what shape is this for? I think this is for a bra as well. I'm not sure. But it opens up on the top. Opens up like that. Oh, there's my high-low poncho of Crystal's Bag O' Day I've been working on. So the work fits all right there, and the whole cake is in there. The fingering weight cake. And I can put the poncho on top of it and it all fits. So there's the cake. Oh, there's some coffee. I'm having some real troubles with my coffee. And then the sides. And I just sewed them on. Yeah, just sewed them on. When you have a zipper, just make sure that you're sewing down to the very bottom part of where the zipper is before there's like a good lining. So like here's the zipper and I sew this on just as far down as I can. Yeah, see how beautiful seamstress I am? You don't need to do anything fancy. It gets hidden down in the stitch. And yeah, so that way you don't, because you don't want the zipper to catch the yarn. So those are those. And I also, the first one I did, bag that I did out of my granny squares, I had some fun, like some variegated yarn that was just too heavy. And I started, but I loved the colors. So I just started making some granny squares and made 3 on the bottom, 6 on each side, and then a big giant half a granny as a flip. And I put a little bit of a gusset on the top, just double crochet back and forth because we have this on the bottom. And then I did a full length to give strength to the gusset all around the side and the bottom. And then I did some slip stitches through this to give it a little bit less of a stretch. However, I was using it the other day and I put it on, it's like a messenger bag size, right? So I put it on like this and I went to the convenience store to get a couple things. And it was great until I put things that weighed a little bit in it. There it is. And that slip stitch is just one slip stitch. And so it was like really digging into my shoulder. So I need to figure out if I can put a couple more slip stitch rows down or what I need to do. But I love it. Look. In the back. I just love all these colors and a little pop of red. How ridiculous. I love it though. Because there's some red in this this pink, red, and white. There. I love it. You know, there's a lot of different things that you can do once you have them made. You know, I have lots of different ways of connecting them. Some of them I did a single crochet to give a real prominent connection. Some of them I did my no yarn connect like that. I'll put the link in the description box to a video I did of a lot of different types of connections, granny square connections, and I included one near the end or at the end of doing the one that I came up with no yarn. You just take the loops of the outside stitch and slip them together. So one thing I have noticed with that, you got to be careful with if you're using the one that I I've never seen anybody else do it. I don't know, I invented it, I don't know. But if you use that, it's gonna pull up a little bit. So I used it on this, and now I'm using it on a mile a minute little lap can that I'm making. But I'm doing the outside border in that one with a full millimeter bigger crochet hook, because then once I pull in the stitches, the pulls on that stitch, but it still has room. So once I've connected them, then they look like they've all been done in the same size hook, if that makes sense. So that's in that other video that I will link in the description box. This was also one of the first things that I did in the new year. I don't think I've shown you, but it's just a 3 by 2, 3, 4. Yeah, some granny squares that I did. And this is what I'm talking about. I did not use a larger hook to connect these, or to make the last round on these granny squares. And so when I used my stitch to connect them, it kind of pulls it in just enough to really bother me. So on the blanket I'm doing now, that's why I upped the hook size. But this is nice. This is something to put on the arm of my sofa. Who is it? Bella has decided is another scratching post. So before she did any damage to somebody else's sofa that's here in this furnished apartment, I needed to put something on there. And she doesn't scratch on that very much, because it's not the sofa, but she hasn't gone to another sofa arm. There's another sofa arm that's just for sleeping. This sofa arm that I keep that on is just for scratching. These silly cats. Silly, silly cats. I just found another bag. See, they're everywhere around my house. This I use, this is an insert that I bought here and didn't take time to, well, I wasn't gonna know until I got it. It's really, really stiff, and I had not made anything this size. So it wasn't really working in any other purse that I had made. So I made this little thing just for granny squares. And then I just did a double crochet on each side, and then did not do a corner. In the corner, I just did one double crochet and just kept going, and then in each stitch, back loop only. And then I connected those 2 double crochet. I did not do a join as you go. I made it on the outside of this and then connected them together, because I like that look. Kind of flat, kind of cool. So that's just 4 granny squares. And I had this wonderful yarn that I've gotten again. It's a really quick variegated that is not very expensive, but compared to the other yarn that I get here, it's quite expensive. So I just had enough to do the little circles and then circle to square. So I like this little purse. So when I put this little thing in there and situate it correctly, then there we go. Then it pretty much holds its shape. It's a nice insert. Now I like that it's kind of stiff like that, because it holds the shape of this that otherwise would be quite flimsy. With Asian yarn, 3-ply is not the equivalent of, what is it for UK and Australia? 3-ply is DK, right? And 8-ply, or maybe it's smaller, because 8-ply is a 4-weight. Is that right? Is that right? I don't know. So when I order plies, when I order yarn and I order it by the ply, it means, and it might mean this too for UK and Australia, but anyway, it means the number of strands that are actually plied together. And it's a pretty loose ply, all of the yarn that I get here. And so this is a 3-ply, this is a fingering weight. pretty much. And then this one, when I see this black band of milk cotton, this one has 4, which is like a 2-ish, maybe a small 3, probably a 2. See? What is that? I've you know, it's been so long that I kind of lose track of what an actual 3 and 4 look like and feel like. But then I found, and oh, that's a 4. Loving this. It is a 5 ply, still a very loose ply, but there are 5 strands there, and 5 strands there that are loosely plied together. And this is about a 3. It's pretty fluffy, and so when I work with it, it really fluffs up to more of a skinny 4. But it's the closest thing to a 4. It's kind of a 3, a fat 3 that I have. Isn't that a pretty color? Just the color of these are so fantastic. And this one is called Milk Cotton. And when I use my translator, my Google Translate picture thing, it shows me that these Chinese characters say, of course it's 50 grams because they've got the G there, and then it's 80-20. And this 80%, it says some sort of long cotton, premium cotton, Chinese cotton, I don't know. And then 20% is milk fibers. So this one is milk cotton. And it's not an anti-pill, and it's pretty loosely plied, but it is my favorite. They do have some really nice deep colors and bright colors here with this milk cotton. This one, it says it's 100% cotton. It doesn't say how much is milk fibers, but it may just be cotton. But it's still very soft. It's wearable cotton. It's very, very squishy. This one says it's stretch. It is pretty stretchy. So, I mean, not that it has any elasticine in it or anything, but it does have a lot of stretch. It has a lot of bounce. That's why I like it so much. So if you see this, if it's at a decent price on like Temu or what's the other one? Whisk or Cross Stitch Company or something. I do like this. It's a little thinner than a 4, than an American 4. It's more like a plumpy 3. But they do quite a large markup. They're usually 50-gram balls that you find here and that you find on Temu because it's probably coming from the same distributors. But when I buy them here, they're about 50 cents each. Maybe as much as 60 cents. But usually I buy them when they're about 50 cents. They go on sale. Don't want to pay 60 cents. Good heavens, what are they trying to do? But if you see them on some of these other platforms, they're like more than $2. So they have a markup because Americans and UK and those Brits and Canadians are used to paying for that, and they will pay for that. When they first came out, they were more like $1 for 50 grams. But I think as people liked them and kept ordering them, they've cranked that. I don't know if you've noticed, they've cranked that price up. So I'm not sure, when it was like $1, then it's fun to try new things. And what do people use around the world? It's, that's really interesting, I think. But I don't know that it's worth that kind of price. But if you have access to it, if you get a chance to get some for free and then talk about it, the thing, then this is the one to get, I think. Unless you like the really thin yarn, this is okay, the 3-ply. But the 5-ply is what I like. And it is soft, and it is cotton, and it is made with milk fibers. Now there is another one that a friend was showing me online that says premium acrylic, 100% premium acrylic. That's going to be acrylic. Unless they're allowed to lie on the label, which I don't know. These are actually milk cotton. If it matters. I don't know. It's a little more breathable. I am rambling now. So, thank you so much for hanging in with me. I have some happy mail, which is really things that I've ordered and things that that my mom sent on to me that she forgot to bring with her when she came to visit. And so I'm going to make a video of all of those things and what she sent to me, and also some pictures from some of our trips. So, oh, there's my sister. She's going to call me in a minute. Yay. Thank you guys so much for stopping in. And until next time, be true to yourself, be kind to yourself and to others, and find your joy. I love you guys. Bye.